Man, Broadcast Houston, we're back with OG of mine. I like to call him an OG, doing a lot, activist in the community, author, probably been on one of your favorite rappers' records, well respected in a lot of different communities. But since we are Broadcast Houston, we do a lot of hip hop, especially in the hip hop community, talking about bringing people together. Man, DERIC Muhammad, how you doing today?
Man, I'm doing better than I deserve, bro. And let me say it's an honor and a privilege to be on Broadcast Houston. I've been following your work, following your progress.
Appreciate that.
I want to say be encouraged and continue to do positive things in the community and create positive narratives for our people.
For sure. That's definitely something we're encouraged to encourage others through the platform. And one thing I always say, your platform is your legacy. So just like trying to model after people like you and the K-Renos of the world, man. Just appreciate y'all for giving us something to look, you know what I'm saying, a mold that we can even follow.
It's an honor to be here, brother.
Definitely. So it's a lot going on. We ain't got to go off our back porch far, man. Houston, a whole lot. I just want to talk about, I guess, a few current events, recent shootings, and I'm not sure if you're aware. I think a rapper from Rap A Lot, he just was slain. I think he went by the name of
Young Marley G.
Marley G. We had interviews with him. I know Young Al had recently got shot. He's still recovering.
Yeah.
Even in Dallas, Roy Lee, he was a comedian, and he didn't die from the gunshot, but I heard that he actually, I guess he got shot before, and then something that was lodged in there happened.
A blood clot developed
because of the shooting.
Result of the shooting, and he succumbed to his injuries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I think right after that, Yellow Beezy, and I think they had maybe somebody said they had an altercation before, but not long. The day after, he had got. And I thought he just got shot at, but he actually was struck as well. He just posted a picture of the truck he was driving in. So, I mean, this is just Dallas and Houston right here. I just want to let you talk about it. Why do you think this is? What can we do to curb this? What is the solution?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's an old African proverb that says, anytime brothers fight brothers, the land that was given to them by their father is going to be taken by an enemy. These are things that we have to look at when we see these so-called beefs escalating, not just in the hip-hop world, but in our community, period. What we have to understand is that what we see among the rappers is just a reflection of what's going on in the hood every single day.
Yeah.
Not only am I saddened by the murder of Marley G, the death of Roy Lee, the shooting of Yellow Beezy, the shooting of Al behind tent. My heart is hurting for the families of these victims of violence that I see every single day. And what we have to do, my brother, is we have to start thinking ahead of tomorrow. Like, we got to start thinking long term.
Okay.
And before you respond to someone who may have offended you, ask yourself the question, how is this going to affect my life 5 years from now?
Okay.
And any decision that you make that will destroy your life into the future is one that you have to rethink and probably back away from. See, when you are young, you have a license to make a mistake. But the key is, if you make a mistake when you're young, don't make those mistakes that's gonna prevent you from getting old.
Okay.
See, when I was younger, everybody else was old to me, right?
Okay.
When I'm 22, I'm looking at a brother who's 45 trying to tell me something. I'm like, look at what is this old head gonna tell me? But you never wanna look down at getting old. Because the only way you can prevent getting old is dying young. And that's not what you want to do. So my heart is hurting from all the violence that I'm seeing in my neighborhood, the artists who are getting shot, there's a high profile, but there is a mother crying somewhere right now whose son may not have been well known, but was just as important. His life was just as important as one of these artists who may have gotten killed. And I don't know the reason behind each shooting. I'm not sure who has beef with who. But what I do know is that when the south side of town, which is black, is beefing with the north side of town, which is black, no matter how many killings take place, the score is still 0-0. Okay. No matter how many retaliations take place, the score is still 0-0. You can never win. You can never put a point on the scoreboard by killing one of your own. Because every time you take an innocent life, a part of your life is taken away as well, and you will never be the same. So we want to say that we live in a country where you have a president, his name is Donald Trump, who's doing everything within his power from the White House to keep his foot on our necks. If his foot is on our necks and our foot is on our own necks too, then we're never gonna have a chance to breathe. We are all in the same boat. And if we don't unify and find a different way to solve our problems and to resolve our conflicts, then we'll continue to pay the price. But I want to send my condolences out to the families of all of the lives, those who lost their lives. Roy Lee, his family. Marley G, his family. We pray for a strong and full recovery for our brother Yella Beezy and our brother Al Behind Tent and all of the others who have been caught in the crossfire. Let's let what happened to them be a lesson to us that no matter how often or how much we kill and shoot and hurt one another, the score will still be 0-0. We'll always be losing, and we should be tired of taking these L's.
Man, that's articulated very well. I know we're a solution-based platform, and I know you've done marches, we've been on side of you and everything. I want to talk about first day one, some of the stuff you said, physically, what are some of the things that we need to do or can do to kind of curve what's going on and maybe reaching a lost mind. I want to say my first experience with you was actually in the House of Blues. I'm going to say it was about 2 years ago. June 27th concert, I think it was the 25th year, something like that. Yeah. And you had the No More Bloodshed movement. And you really reached, because we were out there filming, right? And you really reached a lot of those people that was jamming Kiki, Pokey, La Flip and everything. But I mean, at the end, everybody had their fist up and no more bloodshed. And to reach those people, I think you have a great gift. But to reach our young people, because they're, the leaders of tomorrow, what can we really, because some people may say, I'm not going to go march. I'm not about to peace my brother this, peace my brother that. But what can we do? Us as a media outlet, you as a public figure, to reach this younger generation, to make them get it. Because what you said is sound, but for them to actually get it.
Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to look at yourself. The best thing you can do is be an example of what it is that you teach. If you are a promoter of peace, be an example of that. Okay. That means sometimes when somebody offends you, you might have to take the high road, okay?
Take it on the chin.
If you want to be an example of an entrepreneur, if that's what you preach, the best thing for you to do is walk the talk. Don't just talk the walk, be that. And as I was told by a very wise man, a good example is the best sermon. Okay. So the more our young people see something different, the more they're gonna wanna be something different. So it's not always all about preaching. So as you're working on yourself as a human being and you see yourself growing, whatever it is that you did to improve yourself, Now it's time for you to reach out to your brother and help him or her, your sister, to improve his or herself.
Okay.
But when it comes to the community, when it comes to stopping the violence in the hood, when it comes to taking some of these vacant lots and turning them into urban gardens or mentoring the youth, what you have to do is you have to look and you have to find your gift, your talent. God did not rob any one of us. He gave every one of us a gift.
A gift.
Now, when somebody gives you a gift, what do you do with it? Do you sit there and you just, watch it? No, you have to unwrap that gift.
Okay.
Now, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan teaches us that unwrapping the gift means that you are developing your gift. If you're a rapper, be focused on mastering your craft. If you're a videographer, be focused on being the #1 videographer in your field. The more you focus on your craft, the less you have to worry about somebody else putting you on. Then once you've got to a certain level of mastery of your craft, take what you do and you do that thing for the good of the community.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Spoken well. Yeah.
So let's just say Broadcast Houston has created a platform where you bring information and inspiration to the community by way of YouTube or by way of, the digital world. You find a way to do that uplifts the community instead of finding a way to do that because there's somebody got the same talent that you got, but when they turn on the internet every single day, they're looking for what negativity they can find and exploit in order to get clicks and likes.
There you go.
In order to, build their brand. You don't want to build your brand on negativity. See, brother, I would rather live quietly in wisdom than to become famous for ignorance.
Okay.
That's what we got to promote. So whatever your gift and talent is, you got to find a way to use it to help yourself. Then use that same gift, that same talent to lift up your community. And if you do that, we can't really ask you for much more. So, and the reason I answered that question like that is because I get that question a lot. What can we do? Well, the question that I answer with that question is, what do you do?
Okay. We're doing it right now.
Exactly.
We're doing it right now. The work, yeah.
So what I do to serve the community may not look exactly like what you do to serve the community. But if everybody does something, everybody does their part, that's the way we make a difference.
How about us coming together right now and having this moment and, okay, you have a talent, I have a talent, and putting those together and makes it even a bigger splash.
Yes.
Definitely. Man, nothing short of what I expected already. We're just 14 minutes in. But you mentioned some stuff. And also in the city right now, it seems to, I don't even know where this came from, but this old Houston versus new Houston. And you got the younger guys, you kind of touched on a little bit, saying, hey, it's not enough mentors. These guys have made it. They become millionaires, this, that. They're not reaching back to us. They're not giving us the knowledge. The OGs or the old Houston are saying, hey, man, you need to do more. Hone in on your craft, like you said. Get bigger. Don't look for a handout and everything. And I personally feel each one of them both have genuine truths to what they're saying. And I want to know what you think about that as far as mentorship, when it begins and when it's just, hey, you're not hot enough and you're just trying to get somebody else to put you on.
Well, mentorship begins with a genuine desire for the mentor who wants to see the mentee accomplish just as much as he's accomplished or even go further.
Okay, before you go even further than that, does the mentor seek the mentee or does the mentee seek the mentor? Or could it work both ways?
It just depends. If you have achieved something in life and you feel you have something to offer by virtue of your experience, you should always be looking for somebody to pass that on to.
Okay.
If you are a mentee, if you are a youngster and you're coming up, you should always be looking for someone to latch on to so that you don't make the same mistakes as your predecessors.
Okay.
So I think it's and in both. But there's a saying that says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Okay.
Sometimes the teacher appears, but the student isn't ready.
Mm-hmm.
He still want to party all night. He still want to chase young women all night. He still wants to get high. He still wants to, sip lean all day. He wants to do everything other than focus on mastering his craft.
There you go.
He may not be ready.
Yeah.
Sometimes the young brother is ready, but the mentor is not ready. He don't like the fact that he waking up in the morning and his back's starting to hurt it.
Yeah.
And you go young people, when they achieve a level of success, they are never as smart as they think they are.
Of course.
Let me say, we are never as smart as we think we are. It's not until you get some road behind you and you look back, and like they say, hindsight is 20/20, you realize, oh, I could have done that better.
Yeah.
I could have done this better. I could have done that better. But sometimes as you're getting older, your ego does not wish or doesn't want you to pass the baton to the youngster that's coming up behind you. That happens sometimes. But at the end of the day, if what is for you is really for you,
nobody can steal that spot.
nobody can stop you. What God wants for you, no man can keep from you.
Yeah.
And what God does not want for you, no man can grant you that. That has to be the number one focus. God first. So the first thing we have to do is we have to realize, like Brother Darnell, when I wake up in the morning, I brush my teeth, I wash my face, I get ready to go, I look myself in the mirror and I remind myself of one thing, and that's that nobody owes me anything.
Okay.
Nobody owes me anything. But because I've had strong mentors, I feel like I am the one that owes the next generation whatever it is that I have to give to help to make them successful. Now, you got to understand that I'm still learning too. Sometimes you can reach out to a mentor and that mentor doesn't respond. It may be that had you all connected, that person would have set you backwards and not forwards. Remember, stay focused on your vision. And the more focused you stay on your vision, the less likely you are to get derailed by who will or will not assist you. So I do believe that as you move along in your career, you have the responsibility to reach back. I also believe that as you're coming up, it is wise to reach up.
Okay.
And that should be happening in the city of Houston. They say it's happening in other cities. I don't know. But I will say this. Approximately 300 years ago, a white slave owner by the name of Willie Lynch came to America to speak to plantation owners. And what he did is he taught them a skillful way of keeping the slaves divided. Because when he got off the plane, he said he saw too many slaves hanging from trees.
Yeah.
And what he told the plantation owners is, listen, if you keep killing them, you ain't gonna make no profit from them.
Tell them about it.
But this is how you manage them. You have to find what's different about each slave. And then you have to make certain that you keep them divided based upon their differences. One of the ways that they kept the slaves from revolting was that they always kept the old separated from the young. It's in the Willie Lynch letter. And unfortunately, that same narrative, old versus young, keeps coming up 300 years later. It comes from a plantation mindset. But at the end of the day, the Bible says it like this. Old men for counsel, young men for war. You see, the young have the energy that the older don't have anymore. Or they don't have as much of it. And the old, unless they old fools, they've got the wisdom and experience that the young don't have. When they connect and you put that together, now you have a force moving through the city that's unstoppable.
Yeah.
So we gotta do away with this whole notion that the old have to be separated from the young. We're only hurting ourselves. And we're only hurting the next generation, setting a bad example for the children who are coming underneath us.
Yeah.
You gotta understand, that rapper who's 23 years old, there's a 12-year-old somewhere rapping, looking at you like you old.
Yep.
We gotta set this example for the next generation, and we gotta break out of these slave-making habits, being separated one from another. So the problem with this situation, I do believe also, is that everything is being communicated through social media.
Yeah, J-Dog, we posted something that he called for like a all, just a round table, just to sit down.
We're men.
Had a conversation.
We're grown men. And when somebody gives you 60 seconds to say what you have to say, well, what if you have to say takes 10 minutes? You're gonna try to fit 10 minutes into 60 seconds and it's gonna come out wrong.
Yeah.
Once it comes out wrong, he gets offended. And he puts something that takes 10 minutes on Instagram, mics it down to 1 minute, and then we all going back and forth, and the internet is loving it.
Miscommunication, yeah. Miscommunication.
That is not the way honorable men communicate. Now, I'm not saying that anything is wrong with speaking through social media. I'm not saying that. Use your Instagram account, however you choose to. But when there's constant miscommunication, and it seems as if though something minute is blowing up into an inferno of controversy, then it is best that men sit down at the table. Let's grill some fish. Let's have lunch. Let's have dinner together.
Let's have a conversation.
Now, brother, tell me what you really meant to say. And 9.9 times out of 10, when men come face to face, if they don't do it in an emotional and egotistical way and they talk like men, it's easily worked out.
Yeah.
But the internet is not the best place for men to communicate. And the last thing I'll say about this is we have to remember that all artists are very sensitive about their art.
Yeah, of course.
That includes rap artists too. Not just the young ones, but the more established artists as well. I don't want to call them old artists.
Okay, established. I like that. Established.
35. If you plan on living to be 100, 35 is not old, bro.
I remember Scarface said he would have ate better if he knew he was gonna live that long. So
you would have done a lot of things had you known. Most of us coming up in the 80s and 90s, we thought we were gonna die by 21.
I did. I never saw myself in 30. Never saw it. Right.
Next thing you know, you look up and you're 40, and you're like, man, the things you would have done differently. But this is wisdom that we pass on to the brothers and sisters who are younger than we are, in hopes that they will do better than us. And I don't know about anybody else, brother, but I want the young activist coming up behind me, I want him to be better than me.
Yeah.
I really do. Because if the ones coming up behind us don't accomplish more than us, then we're not growing.
We fail. Yeah, Tupac said, man, if I spark the mind of the person, it changes the world. Yeah.
Right. So people are sensitive about their art. And people forget that rappers are artists. The same way a piano player is an artist. A ballet performer is an artist.
Yeah.
One who paints, they're artists. And they're sensitive about their art. And sometimes this sensitivity comes out through testosterone. And we start beefing with one another. Why? Because I put my heart and soul into this album.
Yeah.
And now you gonna disrespect it and say this or that about it?
Mm-hmm.
Come on. But again, I agree with the brother J Dog. I think that everybody has to humble themselves.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible says that he who humbles himself shall be exalted. He who exalts himself shall be humbled. And if everybody humbles themselves, or we humble ourselves and we sit down at a table, it'll be easy to work out. And not only will it be easy to work out, you use this controversy as an opportunity to create a platform that creates dialogue, and great things come out of it.
Definitely.
I believe in turning adversity into opportunity. That's what it's here for. But what I do know is that we have to find a different way to resolve our conflicts, because the last thing we need in our community is more negativity.
Yeah.
We don't need it.
Definitely. It's definitely a lot of that, too much and enough of it. Definitely. I agree with you on that. And you know what? So we have some actual comments. We get a lot of comments on these videos, and hopefully we have some good ones on here. But I think on, what was it, J-Dog or Slim Thug, one of them, I think one of the people was like, well, who can do it? Who can bring everybody together? And I was like, man, you know, it has to be somebody that has respect from, you know, the younger generation and the older generation. But and I don't know why y'all said whatever. Jay Prince, I know he, you know, has the whole thing. But I didn't even think about you. Let's talk about you a little bit. I forgot what was going on. Maybe it was bloodshed or something. But like I said, that was a year or two ago. And I think you were very instrumental in bringing a lot of rappers to the table. I think it was money. When it like, and going to the black bank that we have here, the Unity Bank. Yeah, tell us about that, and maybe some that you're telling us right now. Maybe we can apply that to what's going on now as well.
Well, a couple of years ago, we had a new mayor. At that time, there was a lot of violence going on in the city. 5 people got shot at a 4th of July event in 4th Ward, and it was just kind of crazy at that moment. So we made a call, and we brought a lot of rap artists to the table, along with the mayor, to map out a plan and a strategy to help to stop the violence in the city.
Okay.
I'm happy to say that that year, the violence did decrease, and it decreased even more the following year. I said it decreased. I didn't say that it stopped.
Yeah.
If we live in the city and one innocent person dies, that one is one too many.
Too much.
And then afterward, we all went over to the Black Bank. All your established rap artists in the city went over to the Black-owned bank, Unity Bank, and they all opened up bank accounts, and it made national news and inspired a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I think that day represents an example of how the power of every artist can be used to benefit the whole when those artists work together.
Together, yeah.
You didn't just have the influence of one artist at the table. You had the influence of every artist.
Well, tell some of those names. We have an international fan base. Who were some of the artists?
We had Paul Wall.
Okay.
Lil Kiki was there. Zero was there. Slim Thug was there. Trey the Truth was there. K Reno was there. My brother Killer Callion
shout out.
was there. Man, you got me calling names, and
but it was more than, I mean,
I'm gonna get in trouble.
Was it more than 10,
Willie D
20?
was there.
Shout out Willie D.
There was probably about 20 artists
wow.
there on that particular day. Most of your well-known rap artists were there. And it was just very powerful to see everybody on the same page, moving in one direction to the benefit of the community. Now let's just be real. In order for that to happen, men who may have had differences in the past had to set that aside in order to come to the table.
For the whole.
For the whole. I applaud those brothers for doing that. That's an example of what has to be done on a daily basis. We have to develop the ability to see past ourselves.
So who got that together? Who actually was the one that made it happen?
Well, it was myself. Paul Wall played a role. Trey the Truth played a role. But other than the rappers, it could be said that I was the central figure.
A neutral party.
The only other people in the room were myself, the mayor, and the artist. So one could say that I organized it. But let me insert something real quick. Going back to this old versus young. Let me not say old, but established rappers versus up and coming rappers. All of the established rappers don't get along either.
Yeah.
Can we just be real?
Oh, they had beef. They've had
Right. So just because an artist who may be in his 30s has a disagreement with an artist who may be in his 20s, that don't mean it's young versus old. A lot of the younger artists don't get along either. So we just need to kill the old versus young narrative and address the fact that this black man or this brother is not getting along with this brother, and let's see how we can solve the problem. But I'm sorry, go back.
So do you think? I mean, more than just yourself, do you think it was a neutral party that had to be there? That you think that? Yeah.
Most definitely. Yeah, most definitely. Anytime you have a conflict, and that conflict is to be resolved, it usually takes someone respected by both sides.
Both sides, that's what I said.
Who can bring both sides to the table. First of all, you have to let things calm down, because you can't bring people
while
to
emotions
the table
are
while
high.
they're angry. No, you don't do that. Once they're at the table, then when one side speaks, the other one must give his word to listen. Once he's done, you let this brother speak. Half of this is the fact that people just want to be heard, especially the younger artists.
Yeah.
They just want to be heard. And once you sit down and start listening to them and start seeing how much sense they make, then you start seeing a harmonious conversation together.
Yeah.
The key is to first and foremost have God and the Spirit of God in the room.
Okay.
And when that spirit is there, then, peace can be facilitated and this thing will go no further. Now, I don't know if I'm the one to be a mediator. I don't need between established artists and younger artists. If it's for me to serve in that capacity, I will do so. But I don't even know if it's to the point to where, it even needs that.
It's that big of a deal.
Yeah, I have to do some research.
Okay.
But whoever has enough
Clout.
I don't even like that word clout. I don't like that word clout.
Respect. How about just respect?
Well, respect is a word. Integrity has to be there. That's not it. But whoever has what it takes in order to make certain that a small conflict doesn't grow into a big conflict, then I say do it. Now, in situations like this, usually the wiser of the two factions is the one that may call for the sit down. So people will probably look for the more established persons within this whole scenario to be the one to say, hey, come on, youngster, let's sit down and talk this out. But who knows? It may be one of the wise, smart, inspirational youngsters that's like, hey, let's sit down and hash this out with the OGs.
Definitely.
But either way,
they would have to listen though. It has to be an agreement on both sides to actually come through and actually want to have the conversation. Because when you neglect the conversation, then you can't get anywhere with it.
Well, you have to see the value in even having the conversation. And the value in having the conversation is to make certain that the negative energy that has already penetrated the community turns positive. And that's the key.
Definitely. Okay, so it's real good narrative. Another thing, I'm staying on the positivity because you just ooze it, and I know people can feel it through the screen. I think I remember when you did the No More Bloodshed movement, you had mentioned that you were a good friend of DJ Screw, and you all did have a conversation. How was their relationship? What was Screw like, and what were some of the conversations that you all had?
DJ Screw was a good friend of mine. He was a very good brother. He had a very big heart. He would literally give you the shoes off of his feet. DJ Screw was a brother who literally just wanted to make music and make history in the process. But what a lot of people did not know about DJ Screw was that he was very community minded.
Okay.
He was the type of brother that it hurt his heart to see young brothers killing one another and destroying our lives. Good brother. Screw would sometimes call me at 3 a.m. in the morning, literally. Because he had a studio out in Missouri City, I think it was, and he was being constantly harassed by law enforcement.
Wow.
Like they would literally sit at the stop sign and wait for him to leave his studio just to go to the store, and they'd get behind him. And he'd be frustrated. So he'd call me 3 in the morning. He may call me the next day, 2 in the morning, venting his frustrations. So he was a genius, but he was a man who was tormented inside by the condition of our community.
Okay.
But I'll tell you a story that speaks to the beauty of the soul of DJ Screw. Back in 1996, I think it was. This was in the 90s.
Yeah.
DJ Screw, myself, and Sister Crystal Muhammad were on our way to Chicago to go and meet with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. This was the time where they had the East Coast, West Coast beef.
Yeah.
Tupac had died, Biggie had gotten shot, so this had to be like 97, I think. And Screw was excited about going to meet the minister. Man, we're going to meet the minister. We're going to meet the minister. So myself and Sister Crystal, we go by Screw's house and we pick him up. So Screw's riding in the back seat. Sister Crystal's driving. I'm in the passenger seat. We're about to drive to Chicago, and we had to be there for a meeting by the next morning.
A road trip, okay.
Yeah. So DJ Screw was known to sip lean. I can be honest with my family. And so I turned around and I say, Screw, you know I love you, brother, but you ain't got nothing in that bag, do you, bro? He's like, nah, brother Derek, I'm good. I stopped all of that. You know, I don't even smoke no more. I stopped all of that. I was like, okay, cool. So we hit the road. We rolling out 59, right? Yeah. We all excited. We going to Chicago to see the minister and all of the other artists from around the country. Snoop, Ice Cube, everybody was there.
Okay, it was a conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm saying to myself, I got a 15, 16 hour ride with Screw. I'm gonna be teaching him all the way there and all the way back. We get to Splendora, Texas, and get pulled over by the police.
Man.
So they pull us over, and they pulled Sister Crystal out of the car, and they were giving us questions about, you know, where'd you get the rental car? Why isn't it in your name? And so on and so forth. Well, they asked for permission to search the car. Crystal gave them permission. Go ahead, you can search it, because we was just trying to get to Chicago.
Yeah.
So the police officer was in the trunk, and he's going through everybody's bags, and he pulls a pistol out of the trunk. And I look back and I say, Screw, I thought you told me you didn't have nothing in that bag.
Yeah.
He said, well, you know I have my pistol, brother.
Protect yourself.
So the cop comes around, and he's got the pistol in his hand. He asks Sister Crystal, is this yours? She says, no. Then he looks at me and asks me, is this yours? And before I could even answer, Screw popped his head from the back seat into the front seat and said, it's mine, officer. And he ended up going to jail.
Wow.
And he missed the meeting in Chicago. We ended up having to catch a plane the next day and went to the meeting. But he was so hurt that he didn't get a chance to go and meet Minister Farrakhan.
Wow.
And I hate that he didn't get an opportunity to meet the minister before he passed away. But But you know, Screw didn't have to own up. He could have just did what the rest of us did and just said, it ain't mine.
Yeah.
But that was the kind of brother he is. It's mine. I'll take the heat. They don't have anything to do with this. Let them go. But that was my brother, and I love him. His legacy lives on.
That was a beautiful story, man. Wow. Yeah, because you don't hear a lot about Screw other than the, you know, the lean and all that or whatever. But yeah, to speak to his heart.
My gift, Brother Darnell, is when I meet somebody, I'm always looking for the God in that person. So the person you see may not be the person I see.
Okay.
You know, I'm really good friends with Zero.
Okay.
When Zero and I sit down and talk, it may not. You will probably be surprised at what the conversation is like, because I'm always looking for the God in him and trying to pull it out.
Oh, you were actually on one of his records, right? You were actually speaking. Tell us about that and how that came about.
Man, Ro just called me one night and he told me about a record that he was doing that was inspirational in nature. And he said it was a record about the Illuminati trying to get him to sell his soul. And that he was gonna send me the record. And if I was inspired to say anything to him about it, to just, you know, leave it on his voicemail.
Okay.
So I did it, and some months later I looked up and it had become a record. So I really enjoyed that, and it was an honor to be on Zero's record. That was a classic song too.
What was the name of the song?
It was called The Devil in Me.
The Devil in Me.
And he's basically saying, why is everybody always trying to pull out the devil in me? But I'm the type of person, I'm always trying to pull the God out of somebody.
Yeah.
When I sit down and I have a conversation with Paul Wall, it's all about God.
Yeah.
When I look at Slim Thug, I see a brilliant black man. I see the God in him. I don't see what everybody else. I mean, I see what everybody else sees, but I don't pay no attention to that.
That's not what you're focused on.
No, I know that the black man is God.
Okay.
I know the black man is God. So my conversations with these artists may be different from what people might think. And I don't judge any of them as if though I don't have shortcomings myself. What I'm doing is, like that 25-year-old rapper, if I'm having a conversation with that 25-year-old rapper, I'm trying to see what can he be at the age of 35.
Yeah. But first, he's got to see that far.
Well, I'm trying to help him to see.
Yeah. or want to live there, because you know the whole thing right now is the YOLO lifestyle, right? You only live once, live for the day, don't worry about tomorrow. And I think that's been branded, you know what I mean, in this generation's head, to where it's like, hey, if I live that far, I'll figure it out later.
That's true, but it's such a deceiving narrative, because I don't remember the last time I saw a group of people at a party or a concert or somewhere and somebody started shooting and everybody did duck. Listen,
survival instincts, huh?
Even if a cockroach were to run from underneath one of these tables,
life preservation,
and it sees me looking at it, it's gonna go the other way.
Yeah.
The first law of nature is self-preservation. So YOLO is right. You only live once. That is not an excuse or a reason to be reckless. When you come to the realization that you only live once, it's not about how long you live, it's about how you live. So if I only live once, I may as well eat right.
Yeah.
If this is the only life I have, then I need to be doing everything within my power to make it everything.
I'm just living my best life.
That it could be. Yeah, that's your best life.
Yeah.
Living it right, helping other people. Yeah, get rich, but reach back to help somebody else to become rich as well. That's your best life. So I agree with YOLO. You only live once. And if I'm gonna only live once, I want to do it right. because I only get one shot at it.
Yeah, it's real good. It's real good. Okay. Like I said, this is a conversation, man. We don't do interviews, man. We just have conversations. I'm loving it. Anything we haven't spoken on has been on your heart recently?
Man, I know it's something. But I will say this. Let me say to my young sisters out here.
Okay.
I am the father of all daughters. And it is in my nature to protect my daughters. If you want to see the beast come out of me, mess with one of my daughters. My mother, my wife. That is the attitude that we have to have toward women.
Okay.
We have to learn to respect women, and we have to learn to be protectors of women. You could never live your best life being an abuser of women. You just can't.
Speak on it.
I learned the hard way. This may not be what you want to hear, but I guarantee you what I'm speaking to you is 100% true.
Okay.
The black woman is the second self of God. It's not enough to just refer to her as a queen. We have to be found striving to treat them as such. We got to stop using the B word when referring to our sisters. We got to stop using the H word, the hoe. We got to cut that out because words are very powerful.
They are.
Words carry energy and words carry frequency. When you say that word over and over and over again,
You believe it.
that energy begins to become a part of your psyche. And everywhere you turn, every woman to you becomes a B back here. You may get into it with your own mother. Y'all might have a disagreement, and in your mind, you calling your own mama a bitch. What is a B? A B is a female canine. Our sisters are not female dogs. Our sisters were made in the image and likeness of God, just like us. So even if there's a sister out there who may not be being as respectful to herself as she could be, the way to lift her up is for you to respect her anyway. That's something that comes with age. That's something that comes with wisdom. But every prayer that you pray is answered through the womb of a woman. And we cannot continue to curse the womb that bore us and expect for our community to get better. So I want to encourage us to strive, brothers, to be more respectful in the way that we view women, because that woman is just your daughter 20 years from now. And you won't want nobody to call your daughter no bitch. Excuse my language.
No, it's broadcast use and you can.
You don't want nobody. And if you wouldn't want someone to refer to your mother or your daughter in that way, then let's stop using that kind of language. Because the more we elevate the conversation, we create a different energy. We create the energy that our community can grow from, okay? When I was a child, I did childish things. This is what the Bible says.
Yeah.
I'm talking about me, I'm talking about the Bible. The Bible says that, but as I grew older, I had to learn to put away childish things. So, to my sisters, be encouraged. And to my brothers, let's be protective, man. Think about it. If you pulled up in an old school, or let's just say you pulled up in your Bentley, and I went and I spit on your Bentley. I spit on it. You probably try to take my head off. You spit on my Bentley, disrespect my Bentley, you know.
But
if you had your gold chain on,
I got you. I know where you going.
and I came and I grabbed your gold chain, we get into a fight. But if I call your sister, when I say your sister, I mean your black sister, your fellow sister.
Yeah.
A bitch in your presence is funny to you? Where are our priorities?
Yeah.
You mean to tell me that a car is more valuable than the black woman? A chain is more valuable than the black woman? See, we got to get our priorities together. If you look down at the gear shift of a car, you have park, then you have the N, that stands for what? Neutral. Then you have the D, that stands for what? Drive. Yeah. Well, what if somebody was to take no, I forgot the R. That's reverse.
Reverse.
Got it. Okay. So what if somebody was to take the R and put it in place of the D, and take the D and put it in place of the R? What happens is you put the car in reverse, you think you're going forward, but you're really going backwards. You think you're going backwards, but you're really going forwards. Because somebody done confused your whole thing right here. Priorities.
Yeah.
Let's clean up our language when it comes to our sisters. And if we can clean up our language, then we can begin the process of cleaning up other things and creating a community where our little girls can grow up under the energy of respect. And the more we respect them, the more they respect themselves. And the more they respect themselves, that respect begets respect. And it's like a domino effect. But we can't continue to be disrespecters of women and expect the favor of God. When we start respecting the black woman as she should be respected, then we would then really be living our best life.
Okay, man. Yes, I think there's a resounding thing is communication, man. The communications that are had in Third Ward, Acres Homes, South Side. I mean, that's what the music comes out, like you said, and that's what it is. That's what people are searching for on the internet. That's what people are watching on the news. But I think every little segregated conversation, what our conversations like in private or when together. You know what I mean? I think that's a real big thing. I don't want to hold you too long. It's like an hour thing, man. We can talk Melon. I know you got a lot of information. We definitely gonna have to do a part 2 of this. But to close out, I want you to tell everybody where can they find you? Tell them about the book and the different things that you have coming in the future.
Well, you can find me on social media at DERIC Muhammad. That's DERIC MUHAMMAD on all platforms. I try to stay current. Sometimes I'm not so good at it, but you can definitely find me on social media there. If you got a question for me, you can email me at dericmuhammad@gmail.com. I am a member of Muhammad's Mosque number 45, the Nation of Islam, and a follower of Minister Farrakhan. So you can stop by the mosque sometimes, Sundays at 10 a.m. I may or may not be there, but even if I'm not there, trust me, you will leave better than you came, uplifted by knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. I'm always doing things in the community, specifically to uplift black males. November 10th, we've got another Black Male Summit coming up. I don't know if this will be uploaded by
me.
I'm
Definitely.
sure it will. Okay. But it's the Smarten Up Black Male Summit, where we bring black men and boys together to do what we were talking about. Communicate, sit down and dialogue, and talk about the experience of growing up being a male, being a black male in America. Nobody understands us like we understand one another. And so that's a day that I just bring all the cubs in and let the lions roar.
How often is that?
I do it twice a year here in Houston, once on the south side and then once on the north side. On November 10th, we'll be at the Lone Star College Victory Center. That's 4111 Victory Drive right there in Acres Home. But I also do the summit in Miami. We do it down in New Orleans. We're taking it to Dallas. I mean, we're taking it nationwide.
That's good.
But, home is where the hardest.
Boy,
I'm
it's
gonna
tough.
always put in work on the ground right here in the city of Houston.
Definitely.
But that's where to find me.
The book?
Sir?
The book?
Oh, my book, yes. I have a book called ASAP, A Street Activist Perspective. That's what ASAP stands for. You can buy it on Amazon.com. That's A Street Activist Perspective by DERIC Muhammad. And look out for my new book. I got a new book coming out called New Rules. They're basically pivot points for Black America. Those new rules that we need to establish in order to move forward and make our community a decent place to live. But I want to thank you, brother. Keep doing what you're doing with Broadcast Houston. Anything you ever need from me, I'm a phone call away. And to all the Broadcast Houston listeners, remember, no more bloodshed. Stop the violence. Continue to buy from your own community. Buy black. Eating well is a form of self-respect. Respect and protect the black woman. And all of that and then some.
Yeah, we're gonna do a part 2. We're definitely gonna do a part 2.
Peace and blessings, family.
Peace and blessings. That is DERIC Muhammad. Y'all make sure y'all support everything he does because Broadcast Houston definitely does.